Program Director, we rise this morning with a profound sense of honor and humility to report to the people of Mopane on the first 100 days of the democratic local government administration. I must point from the onset that our mayors are here. As a district, we are laying a basis so that as media houses, we are able to also engage our mayors because they have also taken time to pursue efforts around 100 days in their own offices. So today, as we report about the district, we should be able to, arising from here, engage our local mayors so that they are able to report on what is it that they have done in their first 100 days in office. We are laying that basis as a district so that this work can be shared with the public. Good or bad, we run those councils on behalf of our public. And we should, from the onset, appreciate all of the media houses that are present here. It's not the first time that we've been engaging with you. When COVID was sufficiently ravaging society, the district became no exception. We were speaking to our people through yourselves. And we remain very appreciative for the airtime, the consistency, the engagement, holding us accountable on behalf of our people. And we think at this level we're taking that journey forward. I think that was done from the appreciation that the role of the media remains important in our continued effort to defend our democratic gains. I think it is yourself, if you recall, who give the voices to the voiceless. The fact that we may not reach all of them at once, but through yourselves you are able to speak to them. I think in the words of former President Thabo Mbeki, if I were to quote him, he says, "You occupy positions of great eminence, you have a voice and are in control of means by which to make that voice heard. What you say and do today is therefore one of the determinants of what South Africa will be tomorrow." So the President was locating the importance and the role that the media plays in society. I would also want to thank all of you, particularly if you are a journalist. You should be inspired by Percy Kobosa. If you remember him, he was one of the most outstanding journalists to have walked this particular earth. I think it was on this day in 1978 that Percy was released from detention. All of us will forever remember him for his outstanding contribution to the field of journalism and the struggle for a free democratic South Africa. In 2010, if you recall, Percy Kobosa was conferred posthumously the Order of Ikamanga in Silver for his contributions in journalism. All of us should insist on walking on his footprint. We will forever remember him for he stood on the side of the oppressed during the repressive apartheid days using the media. Intimidations and length interrogations and arrest did not deter Percy from reporting on the gross human rights violation, including the 1976 Soweto uprising and the brutal death of Stephen Bantu Biko at the hands of security forces in 1977. His condemnation of Stephen Bantu Biko's murder led to the ban of his newspaper. That's peaceful. And he was subsequently arrested without a charge and detained for a full 6 months. His fearless spirit should be what inspires all of us as we discharge our everyday duties. We respect and appreciate your role in this particular space. I think we should continue to hold us accountable on behalf of our people, particularly in this particular district. We've always been available. We can't be absent now when our people want to hear what is it that we are doing with their institutions. There has never been any instance where you have failed to give a comment or ourselves, to give a comment to the media, particularly when the opportunity arises. So this morning is that opportunity. You just don't know how happy we are to engage with you. Program Director, our meeting today is set on the backdrop of Human Rights Month, which we commemorate under the theme, the Year of Unity and Renewal, Preserving Our Human Rights Gains. You will all know that the Human Rights Month is of course grounded in the Sharpeville massacre of March 21st, 1960. It is on record that the evil apartheid police shot and killed 69 people on that day in what was a peaceful protest. Therefore, the commemoration of the Sharpeville massacre becomes a reminder of the journey we have traveled as a country. And through the selfless sacrifices of our forebears, such as Percy Koboza, seated here today, we are all guaranteed that particular human rights, including the right to life, equality, and human dignity. Program Director, it has been 2 years since the first COVID-19 case was reported here in South Africa. And since then, we've seen 4 successive waves of this deadly virus, which have claimed many lives of our people. It has worsened the socio-economic conditions of our people. The poor and the marginalized remain the worst affected by this particular pandemic. But even under these difficult conditions, Program Director, emboldened by the support which is very continuous from our people, we remain fully focused on the work ahead of us. It is a commitment we've made to our people on Friday, November 26, when we were inaugurated. And today, we want to reflect on the first 100 days of the 5th Democratic Local Government Administration at the level of the district in the context of our program for building better communities together. So, Mr. Program Director, I start. If we were to zoom into the local economic development and spatial planning, when we accepted the responsibility, we made a solemn pledge to build and sustain partnerships with stakeholders that will contribute to the economic growth and create jobs for our people. Today, which marks the end of that 100 days, on the occasion of this first 100 days in office, we can report to the people of Mopane that in an effort to mitigate the impact of the pandemic, we have awarded vouchers to 30 SMMEs. This is in the categories of agriculture, tourism, trade, and manufacturing. Perhaps this is an opportune moment to encourage a successful applicant who have not yet signed the sessions to come forward and sign so that their payment can be processed. In the context of our district economic recovery plan, we set aside money to support the SMMEs who are in these key pillars of our economic strategy in the district. And all those who participated were able to receive these vouchers which they will use in their various sectors. If I were to be simplistic, I would say in the tourism sector, the vouchers are meant to ensure that they are able to install Wi-Fi. They develop their what do you call this thing of internet, their website, so that they are able to market themselves outside. So we have those that have been awarded vouchers in that space. In the agriculture space, they should be able to buy seedlings, manures, and many other implements which should be able to help them at the level of those services. In the manufacturing space, they should be able to buy themselves those sewing machines, including industrial ones, so that they're able to even do proper quality gadget for our people. And because that was the first phase, we resolved as council and we even tasked our MMC for local economic development that firstly we need to continue with workshops because the majority of our SMMEs are indeed down and out. We should move from a targeted approach where we're able to zoom into the SMME space with the view of assisting them to comply ahead of our next round of application. So this time, arising from our experience, we've budgeted around 1.5 million rand as part of SMME support fund, informed by our recovery plans in the district. And this should be meted out before the end of the financial year in June. If you have been following our work, you will know that in the 100 days we have hosted 2 pop-up market campaigns. The inaugural campaign was hosted in Greater Gyan Municipality in December. The most recent one was here in Zaneni Crossing Mall. Now, these campaigns are in partnership with Cllr. Their conception help us to get SMMEs to fully embrace and take opportunities that arises from the agency called Small Enterprise Development Agency. In the main, it revolves around mall activations. The campaign seeks to assist our SMMEs and cooperatives to take their services and product closer to where our people are. At least we can report that 101 SMMEs have participated in the campaign so far. And working with Cllr, we are looking forward to supporting them through training. This campaign is also key in encouraging our people in the district to purchase locally produced products and services in support of our SMMEs. In the same wavelength, contributing to job creation. It is also an important networking platform for our SMMEs and cooperatives who are able to learn the best practices from one another. So, together with the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, CSIR, we hosted a business opportunity workshop for these SMMEs. At least we can safely report that 60 SMMEs were in attendance and were trained on opportunities around recycling and value chains. These are part of the programs that we conceptualized that we should be able to do them in our first 100 days. I must also report, Program Director, that working with the South African National Defence Force, together with the Department of Agriculture, we launched what we call Cllr campaign here in the district. Through this project, the SNDF will procure agricultural produce from the local commercial and small-scale farmers. This intervention practically seeks to support the effort, which are more survivalist, on the part of our cooperatives to ensure that they are able to stand their ground and proceed from a sound economic basis. The central collection points have been established in 5 local municipalities, where SNDF will collect the agricultural product. So this network is very critical, so that with the procurement strategy at the level of SNDF, the money should be able to circulate in the local municipalities, supporting our locals to be able to grow. If we were to move on the basis of the spatial planning, we must report that in the 100 days we were able to appoint and hand over service providers for the township establishment projects. Leka Shihoko, Amavele, Kwala Zanemi, Urban Farm, Le Palaborwa, Nale Dumazi, Diane Leka Silwa, Palaborwa. This we do to meet the demand of residential and business sites from our people. If you know, you will know that there is a proliferation at the informal settlement, unplanned settlement. It's only us at the level of government when we should be able to focus, work with our traditional authorities, so that we are able to proactively plan the settlement and anticipating. Otherwise, our people will run always ahead of us. So uncoordinated human settlement impede our capacity as government to deliver adequately to the need of our people. Because any settlement that is uncoordinated will later on demand services, only to find that the Boyoka, Kuwesa, Mithiokari, and some businesses will have to provide water but also road infrastructure and other things. Therefore, this project is key to our program of building integrated human settlement, where our people will have access to much improved socio-economic opportunities. What we have also done in these 100 days was to also bring in service providers in the space of geographic information system. We are trying to converge all our applications, whether it's in the LED, it's in corporate, it's document management, whether it's infrastructure. We want to locate them from technology point of view into one central GIS port, where we should be able to zoom, monitor and account on the activities that are taking place in our communities from service delivery point of view. So already, in the context of our district local economic growth strategy, we have put aside money to ensure that the applications are ranked in the context of GIS. So that when we do that, that infrastructure is loaded in our GIS system, and we are able to monitor every activity that takes place at that level. And because we have passion to ensure that we monitor from an oversight point of view, we have ramped up work around this. Later on, when I speak about audit opinion, you will know how I will decry the extent to which at the district municipality which we are leading, we are still using some manual work, even when we do inventory. Something which is oldish and which at this time and day, when we are using M-Score, we shouldn't be able to play in that because it will always impact on us, as and when we deal with the audit opinion. If you allow me, let me proceed to provision of basic services. We identified particular project because water is central to our work. That should we ramp up efforts in that space, we should be able to give our people water in the first 100 days so that the effort can be taken forward in the context of our broader work, even beyond the 100 days. So we committed to work around accelerating the provision of clean drinking water to our own communities. So over the past 100 days, we have been to the Ox, where we handed over the water project worth around 3.6 million. And our people, as we speak, are drinking water directly from the Mamaja's Cllr water treatment works. If you know Mamaja's Cllr, it should, when completed, be able to provide water to the 24, 28 villages in the entire Mabling. After many years of wanting to provide water, because that treatment works, it's at the Ox, we are now able to provide for the immediate community of the Ox and Finale. We are beginning to move out, to go to Osante in the Willows, where there are contractors who are doing work, and we think with proper funding we can be able to gradually bring in more communities to receive water. If you have been following the work that DWS has been doing, we rose from the Water and Sanitation Summit a few weeks ago, where we resolved that this thing of RDP standard when you give water, it's not all. Because we put infrastructure, but we put a tap, and our people are able to get it from a nearer distance. Our experiences, it's not encouraging, because at the level of that pipe or tap where our people get water, it will always be vandalized, and you will find a lot of water gushing out. As I speak, if we go to Cllr, the experience is just like that. I was happy when we resolved at the Water Summit that we should do away with this RDP standard where we put a tap on the street. We should now connect our people at their household. Now, what does that mean? It means as we plan ourselves as Water Service Authority, every project that which we do, we should be able to move taps into the household. It will need funding, it will need proper planning, and is the task which all of us is committed, because there is a resolution to that effect, but also the fact that our people deserve better. We have been to Sasekan, Kamhlaba, Petanenge, and Zangoma, and we are happy with the work that is being carried out there as part of the Retaba Phase 2 Water Scheme project. Because it is that Phase 2 that is currently giving our people water, and we are reaping those particular efforts. If you go to Zangoma, as and when we try to give sustainable water provisioning there, we are able to drill a borehole at Zangoma as a short-term intervention. And as we speak, our people are drinking water at the level of Zangoma. And they have been longing for this particular potable, clean water, and we are happy on their behalf that they are able to drink. It is the completion of Phase 2 of the Retabi 2 scheme which will provide sustainable water, because we are engaged at that level. If I'm getting here a beggar's dog, if you get a driller borehole, no go, lay power worker through a generator, and I'm happy ESCOM is here. The application is change. Here we go ESCOM. They are lapsa, reapply, lapsa, but machecha. Engel two shares come. Before we tell Maspala Javore, Bagi the Relam Tavas. Kemukarna Water Service Authority. Radio Service Level Agreement Logo, and part level natural sky ESCOM. So, at Bega's door, we have drilled a borehole there. It's powered by generator, and our people are also drinking water. We have done the same in Kansavla in Greater Guyana. Now, when ESCOM comes in, we are able to take away the generator and connect them so that our people can sustainably get that water. Because buying petrol and diesel all the time, in between human intervention, can even collapse the entire system of providing our people with water. I think when we inaugurated in our acceptance speech, we did indicate that we want to resolve in a more lasting manner the challenges of water in the Nyenye and Luleka. When you're going for local government elections, you will know Lulekane was rife with a lot of protest action. And these two communities are on top of our to-do list. we are recording milestones in Tabina Lenyenye project. We reported during this 100 days that water is now reaching the township of Lenyenye through the new bulk line. But we still need to do reticulation there. Because at the level of that dam, when water is going up, with an oil infrastructure that is there, the water will just gush out, and we have to do a lot of maintenance to ensure that we save what you call non-revenue water, and this water goes into the household at that level of the township, so that they're able to pay for their consumption. At the level of Lulekan and Benfam, we have appointed the service provider in the context of these 100 days to proceed with the water reticulation project. It's a multi-year project after all, and we have started with a budget of 40 million in this financial year. But also if you go to Makushani, we've also appointed a service provider for Makushani water project, which is valued around 33 million. And this project will ultimately, Mr. Nguben, provide water to where I also stay. Because I am connected, I have a pipe, but water comes only after 2 weeks, for 1 day or 2 days. And when there is no water, I also buy from the Kariki as the executive mayor, who's leading a water service authority institution. Like everyone else, we are able to fetch water. And we think this project should be able to help our people at that level. Now, because the issue of water is core to the work that we do, we appointed, I think, 50 employees to work in the space of water maintenance and operations. This we do to ramp up and increase our capacity in our water services department. But also, recruitment is at an advanced stage for additional employees in the space of water and sanitation. I think not so long, we should be concluding on the appointment of around 20 assistant process controllers, because they are key in the space of water provisioning. 14 plant operators, 13 booster pump operators, maintenance officers, as well as filling the 2 vacant posts of satellite managers. Why are we doing this? It's a dedicated focus in the water space, because the many interventions that which we are not doing there, the delays, our incapacity to quickly maintain small things undermine the capacity and chances of our people to get water. Hence you see us ramping this kind of recruitment at that space, so that we are able to respond faster, but also provide water to our people. If you don't know, we deliberately in the 100 days said we must go and meet all our employees at the level of the water space. We've been to all plants and camps. We have met employees. We listened to them. The frustration that they raise around our own stores, how spares are not sufficient at that level, at the management, how we respond very late to procure, becomes very key around operations and maintenance, which is basically at the heart of the work that which we do in providing services. And out of that particular interaction, when we said doing the budget adjustment, we're able to put money aside to begin to intervene on the operation maintenance at the level of the camps and all our plants. It's a very important intervention, because when a community rises to want to protest when there is no water, we should be able to proceed immediately and resolve. But proactively, we don't even need the community to rise and say, we are going to the street. Our own system should be able to pick up with the space that we have in all our store, be able to respond to the issues of water at that level. So, because water is life and sanitation is dignity, in continuing with our program, of providing sanitation to rural households. We have concluded the appointment of service providers to build VIP toilets across the district. Now, as we speak, in all the local municipalities, you should be seeing your small contractors who are in the 1 to 3 grading system doing work around providing VIP toilets to our people. We did this in the previous financial year, and we're doing it now because to us, sanitation to our people in the rural hinterland becomes very key. We do this because the networks around storage system in the rural areas have not reached or kick-started that appetite because it needs funding for us to begin to go to that level. And it's something which we should commit ourselves to zoom into because our people in the villages deserve it. And yesterday, we handed over a grader to our Pule municipality. If you will recall, we did the same to Greater Guyana. We gave Letawa, we did to Tsaleni last year around September. Yesterday, we're heading over to Pule municipality. In the next 2 weeks, we'll be able to hand over a grader to Pule municipality. Why are we doing that? We have an obligation in terms of the Systems Act to support our local municipalities. And you will know the issues of the gravel roads in our villages, which makes trading of goods difficult, movement of our people, connecting from one village to the other, very difficult. When it's rainy, it's even worse. Now, all these graders will be in the locals, and the locals will be able to use them to grade the sports field, the roads, and everything else at that level. But also you will recall that as council we have an obligation around good governance and financial viability. Now, we are building on the foundation that was laid by the previous council to proceed to work on building a strong, accountable, transparent, and resilient local government and turn the tide against the culture of non-accountability. We can report to the people of Mopani this morning that we have stable council. I can even account for other local municipalities. Save for few smaller disruptions there and there, but generally in the entire district, we have safe, stable council. You know, safe, stable councils provide an environment for proper decision making so that the decisions are able to filter in the context of service delivery. Now, whilst we have stable councils, we should move faster to take decisions that are in the interest of our people. Because in an environment that is very volatile, decision making becomes even more difficult. But we should be able to use the environment that which we have, seize the opportunity, work with all councillors across political parties to ensure that the decisions that which we take are in the interest of our people. So the previous council practically demonstrated that issues of consequence management is not optional at this level of democratic government. So there are prescripts, act, and legislations that empowers us, particularly Section 176, subsection 2 of the MFMA, which calls on council to act against officials that are found to have been negligent in handling the money meant to service our people. We did so much work. In fact, we should liabilize the previous council. They did so much work investigating unauthorized irregular fruitless and wasteful expenditure, spending from back to 2011. You may not understand the impact of this. Part of the reason why we've always been receiving a disclaimer, adverse, the problems of yesteryears, history was always catching up with us. Now, for us to be able to move on a cleaner slate, we needed to resolve that we need to investigate the unauthorized, irregular fruitless wasteful expenditure from 2011. And we did that. MPEL presented a very voluminous report, which Council adopted. And we are implementing that. In the midst of the implementation, when the AG picks the issues there, you will be able to say, you will still have a long way to go. Because you are showing commitment, but non-implementation of 1, 2, 3, 4 will still impact on the audit outcome as and when you proceed. So we have an obligation to resolve issues of more than 12 to 13 years so that we become stable around the issues of audit as and when we grapple with the current evolving situation. All the report that we received, whether it's Chapter 9 institutions, SIU, Public Protector, were able to implement those reports. Some of the officials are busy with court interacting to clear their names as we speak. And some have taken the matters on review, which is legal, normal, and acceptable. But at least Council has shown commitment against them to ensure that we proceed from that level. So, when we accepted this responsibility, we needed to move from that commitment that we should not lower our vigilance, because when we do that, we run the risk of collapsing the municipality. I recall Tuesday, November 30, we received, I may not say it's a final report of the SIU, because President Zuma signed a proclamation, I think 2016-17, to investigate issues of maladministration, boreholes, and many other issues. And we are beginning to receive the report from the SIU for us to implement. Already, there are 4 reports which the SIU have brought to us. Every time they bring, we take them to Council, we run them through the processes. When they affect senior managers, we do that in the context of the disciplinary code for senior managers. When they affect junior officials, the municipal manager lead disciplinary actions, and consequence management get affected at that level. Now, in this 100 days, we received 2 reports in 1, 3 and 4, and we subjected that report to Council. If I were to share with you the details of the report, just in passing, so that I don't waste your time, is that around 2016, we appointed a contractor to go and do a lot of boreholes, everywhere else. And ESCOM is here. And the contractor went there. Instead of drilling boreholes, he could not drill the boreholes. And he was paid. Boreholes need electricity. Instead of putting transformers there, a lot of them. The first report speaks about 11 or 12 of them. Instead of putting electricity, ESCOM, the contractor go and connected on the community line of ESCOM. And he was paid. So we received the report and we acted. And as we speak, Council has resolved to recover money from the contractor and the senior manager who has been in that space, because that money belongs to the people of this particular district. So we are moving very faster when we receive reports. We don't hide them. Now, I am sure we all know that the municipal manager has resigned. So we have the acting municipal manager in the name of Mr. Tsepo Mohan. Now, with the same space, our commitment at the level, the resolution that which we take. Every senior manager who is implicated in the SIU report, when we have to recover money, we should be able to recover money from such. So it's a commitment we've made to our people. And the acting MM is busy using the legislations, even common law, to ensure that we are able to get that money. The junior officials, as we speak, 1 junior official has been suspended. And there are disciplinary cases that are running against other junior officials that have not applied vigilance and prudence when they deal with financial processes. Now, as I gravitate towards closure, what we What we also did in this 100 days was to award bursaries to our students who successfully applied to the Executive Mayor's Bursary Fund. They said in the adjudication stages, they did their work. Now they have communicated with successful applicants so that they're able to process their payment. Because if you trust only NSFAS at the level of tertiary institution, we also have brothers and sisters who are at that space. Someone was saying to me, NSFAS is not covering the February-March accommodation, and we should be able to intervene. So if you meet such challenges, you will know the kind of challenges our students are experiencing at the level of tertiary. In the 100 days, we also hosted the Clean Air campaign in all local municipalities. The aim of this Clean Air campaign in the main was to raise awareness on air quality and climate change to communities across the district. You will know that air pollution poses one of the greatest threats, not only to our health, but also to the climate here in the district, in South Africa and the entire globe. So you might undermine how we pollute the environment here in the context of the global efforts and think that our work is very minimal when it is even too adverse to the global efforts. When we adopted the National Development Plan as a country over a decade ago, we said as a country that by 2030, we should have built a South Africa that is environmentally sustainable, climate change resilient, low carbon economy, and just society. This, of course, is also goal number 13 of the UN Sustainable Development Goals on climate action. And through this campaign, we should be able to make, as a district, our own smaller, limited, minimal contributions positively to ensure that we save the world. We also, Program Director, conducted what we call inspection blitz as part of our monitoring of food handling premises across the district. Now, if you don't know, we now have a database in the district of all the spazas across our local municipalities. We are about to take some decisions around the work that we've been doing to monitor all of them. So we started with some inspection blitz to monitor the food handling premises across the country. So we were able to, during our inspection, to condemn around 18,110 kilograms of foodstuffs. Some saw rotten and they are still on the shelves. Cosmetics, which have passed their sell-by date. Disinfectants, which were still there on the shelves. As well as around 4,044 liters of soft drinks and cleaning detergent. You reach more shelf in more fridge. If you tell a get expiry date. Because those are the basic things that which our poor people access. They don't even check the expiry date. They get in, they buy, they go. The next thing they are ill, it's our responsibility in the community. To show you, you now get to make a profit at the expense of our people. So we're able to put around around 4,044 liters. Some of them were warned, some of them were working with subs when we were doing these things. They should be able to be closed, and we're finalizing proper processes. Once we don't provide security and protect our people, no one way against unscrupulous SMMEs in these particular spaces. Now, in support of the taxi industry and commuters, we partnered with Santago to disinfect Mujaji taxi rank. And this campaign was anchored around our continued effort to fight the spread of COVID-19. This was done within the context of the 100 days. Look at it as a district and on behalf of the people, all of us, and I know you in the media space, you are also worried by the sustained onslaught against women and children in the district. We, however, remain encouraged by the firm stand adopted by our local community structures against this sketch. If you recall the recent case of the 6-year-old girl from Petaneng who was raped and subsequently killed, and also the young lady from Mople whose lifeless body was found dumped near a cemetery in that village. All this remind us that collectively we still have much work to end this sketch. We reaffirm our commitment to a program of heightened awareness campaign on no violence against women and children. It is a campaign that should be embedded in our everyday effort. The last aspect which I must speak to, and I know Otis is my communication manager, he did not write it. I don't know why he did not write it. Maybe it embarrasses him. It's on the audit outcome. The district municipality has received a disclaimer audit opinion. We are hanging our face in shame as we speak to you. I will tell you why. Because our people don't expect such. We experienced a 9 years of disclaimer and some adverse. When we were deposited as deployment to that institution, we picked up. We went from those adverse and disclaimers to the first year qualified. We again went to qualified. We gave our people some hope that things are stabilizing and we are moving. And the next thing, we are on a disclaimer. I'm just thinking we are duping our people. Our people think we are real, and on this aspect, I think we are duping our people. We can't give our people hope, and all of a sudden, we plunge. In fact, I'm sitting with my colleagues, the mayors. In Maruleng, they've maintained. Mayor Ratsebo will tell you when engaging at that level. They've maintained they are qualified. We wanted a clean audit at that level. Knowing him, resilient and agile, we should be able to get one. Zanelli, I think they've improved. If they've not maintained, they are unqualified. Metawa is also unqualified. It's only ourselves and Guyana in this district that have regressed. West with us because we're a disclaimer. Guyana regressed from an unqualified to a qualified. Palabora remains stagnant at qualified. They still have to push on. But the player here is Mopani district, which some of us are beating. There are a few areas when the AG presented the report to us. The then municipal manager contested the space. And that's the reason why we delayed in getting our opinion. Because there were a lot of issues. The manager said, no. This is not. And the AG will always audit us on compliance, on performance information, as well as the AFS. The day the AG, when we sat in the audit steering committee, said there is COMEF2 that affects everything about your annual financial statement, and I will not audit this. That day we knew we were on a disclaimer. And we worked with the AG throughout. That COMEF was never audited by the AG. And once the AG does not properly audit your AFS, given those limitations, you must know you are in the bait. So if that report is available, it must be shared with all of you, so that our people should be able to comment on the lack of vigilance on our part when we have to do with issues of audit and governance. It's a setback on our part. And earlier on, I was able to say to you, these unauthorized, fruitless expenditures from 2011 today, they are now catching up with us. It will need us to be resilient to get out of this. After presenting the audit outcome, the AG has now agreed to audit COMEF2. Now, because the AG has agreed, it will not give us any opinion. He should be able to help us to say, this is where you were going wrong. We did not audit at that time because when we wanted portfolio of evidence, your administration could not be able to provide. Hence, we stopped these things. But now we are auditing so that we give you a basis for you to start doing work. So we have done a lot of work to prepare our the findings and the action plans. And I know as we speak, there's a lot of work going on behind the scene to ensure that we don't disappoint our people further. An audit outcome, it's not a barometer that you can deliver services. It's key to give all the stakeholders who care about service delivery to our people assurance that you are able to manage your finance with prudence, and therefore we can trust you with the send to go and deliver services. I can't go to ABSA, FNB, and anywhere else and say, overdraft, loan, I want to go and deliver water. They will show me the audit outcome. Chief, you can't run your municipality prudently from finance point of view. We are doing our people a serious disservice. I'm saying it's us who must be able to report to US media that we're not doing good at that level. A serious injustice to our people. But we have resolved, we have commitment, we are resilient. The fact that we're able to come out of a 9 years, and in 2 years we're able to pick up a particular trend, we should be able to also come out of this thing. Very shameful as we engage our communities, but we are committed to go beyond this work. We say this because we want our people to speak about these things. They should be able to read our report and be able to say, it's around classifying transaction. You see, maybe let me give you a simple, I'm not a finance person. This event, in terms of finance, an economic event, we should be able to say there was a media engagement. Money that we took from a particular vote. When you have to account for that money, you should be able to define it, the nature of that activity, classify that money. And that money should either be a debit or credit, goes into the ledgers, the journals, and all that and all that. Earlier on I gave you an example. And that is why in the turnaround of things at the level of the municipality as we speak, we are deliberately ramping up capacity in the budget and treasury space to ensure that they will not experience these basic things. We have directed that all transactions in the municipality should be done through M-Score. It's a system. Our administrators are still using manual. But if you procure, transact through M-Score, the system rejects you with your invoice, which you have ballooned. And that's why we insist that if we start using all the modules of M-Score there, transact through the system, it saves a lot of human errors and human involvement, particularly the manual space, which are impacting on us negatively. As I conclude, I want to present this 100 days report as an account of the few meters that we were able to travel thus far in pushing the struggle of our people. I'm saying this because the 100 days were truncated. We put some little effort to ensure that they happen a bit faster. Now we only have 3 months before the end of the financial year. We want to also ramp up effort that all the other programs that wait are there. We should be able to finish them. You know, this simple contradiction, it's an irony in fact. We were able to spend all the MIT man, 100%, but we are getting a display. As we gravitate towards collapsing to our chair, we remain inspired by the words of Martin Luther King Jr., who said, and I quote, "No work is insignificant. All labor that uplifts humanity has dignity and importance and should be taken with painstaking excellence." I think we are also on track, and we reaffirm our commitment to the program of action as agreed to with our people, that program of building better communities together. Makensa, ke a leboha.
Thanks very much, Executive Mayor. Then becomes an opportune moment for our colleagues in the media space to engage with the Executive Mayor. I'll be noting hands. I know the first one will be from Alex Matlala. Kim Khutswang. Well, I'll note 5 hands that want to engage with the Executive Mayor on his presentation, first 100 days of the 5th Democratic Local Government Administration. Colleagues, let me note hands. Yes, the first one will be Alex Matlala. Then, you'll reintroduce yourself. Number 2, and then number 3 will be Jacobin. Yeah, the mic is somewhere here. If you can just hand over the mic to Alex Jabo Matlala.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alex Matlala from the Citizen newspaper. Quite a beautiful, exuberant presentation made by the Executive Mayor there. I've got a set of questions that I'll need clarity from the table in the forefront there. The first one maybe will come from, or will be directed to Mrs. Lowena. I think she's the woman that was introducing the first table there. She often spoke about the Big 5 municipality, and I was lost. I wanted to understand if she's speaking about the Big 5 in the wildlife, the lions, the giraffes there, or she's speaking about the Mopani District municipality having the 5 local municipalities, which makes Mopani the Big 5. Maybe we need clarity on that. But second to that is Program Director, just a few weeks ago, it should be a fortnight ago, the citizen number 1 of the province that happens to be Chubustin Matawata, he delivered what we call the State of the Province address. That is ways I articulated a lot about how he wanted to change the lives for the better of the people of Limpopo. But one of the things that he mentioned there, it was that there was 128 million rand that was pledged by ZZ2 to construct what we call a bag house in Mopani. We wanted clarity on that to understand how this bag house is going to assist local economy and the small-scale farmers in Mopani. That's number 1. Number 2, on that is that the pack house is going to be complete by April, May this year. But how is it going immensely to assist the small-scale farmers and the local economy in Mopani? And the other one is we spoke about the graders that are distributed to different municipalities in Mopani, that is Palabora, that is Giyani, and that is Zalene the Tower, or Maruleng, which is going to be distributed in 2 weeks to come. We are baffled as a community that more often than not our graders are only grading our roads that you spoke of on